Do you know who is the top serial killer of the history? It's not Jack the Ripper or Ted Bundy. It's even not a man. Even she is not a regular person. She is a countess. Some people know her as the Blood Countess or Countess Dracula. Her name is Elizabeth Bathory d'Este. Elizabeth Bathory lived between 1560 and 1640. She was a Hungarian noblewoman and owned land in Kingdom of Hungary and today's Slovakia. Her father was Baron George Bathory, brother of the Voivode of Transylvania, Andrew Bonaventura Bathory. Her mother was Baroness Anna Bathory, daughter of the another Voivode of Transylvania. So we know where this violence came from. Elizabeth was born and spent her childhood at Este Castle. As a child, Bathory suffered from multiple seizures that may have been caused by epilepsy. In 1575, Bathory married, but before marrying with an aristocrat, Elizabeth had given birth to a baby by a lower order man. Her aristocrat husband died in 1604 and the couple had 4 children at that time. After her husband's death, rumors of Bathory's cruelty began to surface. There had been earlier accounts of peasant women being murdered, but it was not until 1609 rumors that she had killed noble women attracted attention. In 1610, King Matthias assigned Bathory's cousin Thurzo to investigate the claims. Between 1610 and 11, Thurzo took depositions from people living in the area surrounding her estate, including the testimony of more than 300 witnesses and survivors. The stories of Bathory's murder were further verified by physical evidence of mutilated, dying, or dead victims at the time of her arrest. According to the testimonies, Bathory's initial target were servant girls aged between 10 and 14. These victims had been lured to the estate by offers of work and maids or servants in the castle. 2 courts of officials claimed that they personally witnessed Bathory's torture and kill young servant girls. Some witnesses told Thurzo of relatives who had died while at Bathory's gymnasium. Abductions were said to have also taken place. In all, Bathory was accused of having killed a couple of dozen and over 600 young women. Almost all were of noble birth and had been sent to the gymnasium. Bathory was suspected of having committed many forms of torture on her victims. Survivors and witnesses reported victims experiencing severe beatings, burning and mutilation of hands, freezing and starving to death. According to the Budapest archives, victims would be covered in honey and live ants or burned with hot tongues and then placed in freezing water. Bathory was said to have stuck needles into her victims' lips or body parts, stepping at them with scissors or biting off their breasts, faces, and limbs. Bathory was said to have enjoyed drinking the blood of virgins, believing that it would preserve her beauty and youthfulness. She was also rumored to bath in the blood of her young victims. The story goes that she developed this penchant after slapping a female servant in rage and discovered her skin looked younger where the servant's blood had splashed on. However, stories attesting to her vampiric tendencies were recorded years after her death and are considered unreliable. Modern historians have claimed that these stories originated from the widespread disbelief that the women were not capable of violence for its own sake. On 30 December 1609, Bathory and her servants were arrested under orders by Thurzo. The servants were put on trial in 1611 and 3 were executed for being Bathory's accomplices. Bathory herself was never tried, despite King Matthias's wishes. Thurzo convinced the king that such an act would damage the nobility. A trial and execution would have caused a public scandal and led to the disgrace of a prominent and influential family that ruled Transylvania. And so, despite the overwhelming evidence and testimony against her, Bathory was saved from execution. Bathory would stay in the castle until her death in 1614 at the age of 54. She was initially buried in the castle church, however, an uproar among local villagers meant her body was moved to her birth home at Este. The charges leveled against Bathory have been described by several historians as a witch hunt. Alexandra Bartosiewicz stated that when Bathory was persecuted, the accusations were a spectacle to destroy her family's influence in the region, which was considered a threat to the political interest of her neighbors, including the Habsburg Empire. Stories about Bathory quickly became part of national folklore. Legends describing her vampiric tendencies, such as the tale that she bathed in the blood of virgins origins to retain her youth were generally recorded years after her death and considered unreliable. Some insist she inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is written in 1897, although Stoker's notes on the novel provided no direct evidence to support this hypothesis.